And in that way, we've really created an empire, but we've done it very, very subtly. It's clandestine. All the empires of the past were built on the military, and everybody knew they were building them. So the British knew they were building them, the French, the Germans, the Romans, the Greeks, and they were proud of it. And they always had some excuse, like spreading civilization, spreading some religion, something like that. But they knew they were doing it. We don't. The majority of the people in the United States have no idea that we're living off the benefits of a clandestine empire, that today there's more slavery in the world than ever before. And then you have to ask yourself, well, if it's an empire, then who's the emperor? Obviously, our presidents of the United States are not emperors. An emperor is someone who's not elected, doesn't serve a limited term, and doesn't report to anyone, essentially. So you can't classify our presidents that way. But we do have what I consider to be the equivalent of the emperor, and it's what I call the corporatocracy. The corporatocracy is this group of individuals who run our biggest corporations. We economic hitmen have managed to create the world's first truly global empire, and it's basically a secret empire. We do it many ways, but principally we identify a country that has resources our corporations covet, like oil, arrange a huge loan to that country from the World Bank or one of its sisters. The money never actually goes to the country. It goes to our own corporations to build big infrastructure projects in that country that help a few very wealthy people, but don't benefit the majority of the people who are too poor to buy electricity or have cars to drive on the highways, and yet they're left holding a huge debt that they can't repay. So we go back at some point and say, you know, you can't pay your debts. Give us a pound of flesh. Sell your oil real cheap to our oil companies. Vote with us on the next critical UN vote. Allow us to build a military base in your backyard. Something along these lines. And when we fail, the jackals go in and either overthrow or assassinate these leaders. And if the jackals fail, as they did in Iraq, then we send in the military. I don't think the failure is capitalism. I think it's a specific kind of capitalism that we've developed. We've created what I consider a mutant, viral form of capitalism. And this mutant form of capitalism, which I think is really a predatory form of capitalism, has created an extremely unstable, unsustainable, unjust, and very, very dangerous world. I've met a lot of terrorists. I've interviewed them for books. I've never met one who wanted to be a terrorist. They're desperate people. If we want to get rid of terrorism, we must get rid of the root causes, that cancer that is destroying our whole system. Because I think it's really important that we understand today we cannot have homeland security unless we understand that the whole planet is our homeland. I'm John Perkins, author of Confessions of an Economic Hitman, Hoodwinked, The World is As You Dream It, The Secret History of the American Empire, and a number of other books. Formerly chief economist at Charles T. Main, a major consulting firm, and my unofficial title was Economic Hitman. This is the second time I've spoken at Wealth Masters. I was at the M3 conference earlier and now at the M2, and I see it as a great opportunity for education. I think people are coming here to get educated and to understand what's going on in the world, and then to use that knowledge and understanding to create their own businesses, their own opportunities, and to have a huge impact on the world in the meantime. For me personally, my goal is to create a sustainable, just, and peaceful world. And I see Wealth Masters as a great opportunity to speak to people that are in positions of power to help that happen. In my perception, when people come together at Wealth Masters, they're inspired, they're provoked to think outside the box, and motivated then to go out and follow their passions and use their talents to create opportunities for themselves in business and through social networking and many other forms. And as they do that, I see a tremendous opportunity for them to really understand that we're moving into a new time in history and in economics. And this creates wonderful opportunities. You know, for the first time in human history, every one of us on this planet is facing the same crises. Crises of climate change, of resources diminishing at accelerating rates, and
prices of essentials like food and fuel increasing at accelerating rates. And we're all talking to each other for the first time through cell phones and the internet. We're all communicating. And an organization like Wealth Masters really brings that to the forefront. People understand when they come here that this new worldview creates phenomenal opportunities, not just to gain personal wealth and prosperity, but at the same time to create a better world for ourselves and future generations. I think my message essentially is very compatible with Wealth Masters, so I don't really have to modify my own message very much when I'm speaking to Wealth Masters, except to realize that the people I'm talking to are in positions to really affect change. So, for example, when I'm speaking at universities or colleges, I'm very aware that I'm speaking to students who are going to emerge, especially if I'm in business schools, students who are going to emerge into positions of power and management and entrepreneurship, and I address them in a certain way. When I'm at Wealth Masters, I'm already speaking to people that have emerged into that area or at least made the commitment to do so. That's a very, very powerful audience for a speaker like me. I'm really feel extremely honored and blessed to be able to speak to such people. We are in a new economic era, there's no question. This recession that we've been going through is not a fluke. It had to happen. You know, we live in a world today where less than 5% of us inhabit the United States, and yet we consume more than 25% of the world's resources, while roughly half the world is verging on starvation or actually starving. That's not a model. It's a failure, and we've got to change it. And the people who come to Wealth Masters are people who I think are very open to change. They're looking at opportunities to create new businesses, and those new businesses can very much be about moving into this new world and creating a model that really works, a capitalistic model that really works, to recognize that my 2.5-year-old grandson can't possibly hope to inherit a sustainable, just, and peaceful world unless every child on the planet has that same opportunity and realizes it. What I've learned from these two experiences with Wealth Masters is that there's a tremendous resource base here of people who are experts in many fields. I'm particularly interested right now in social networking and communications. I'm a writer. You know, I'm very interested in how this whole process of communicating with each other is changing these days. And there's a phenomenal number of people at Wealth Masters that really get that, and they're very, very good at it. So talking with them for me is extremely important. And I think people coming here who are entrepreneurial, who are entering into businesses or in that mode, are going to find amazing resources, human resources, people they can talk with, learn more things from, and also network with. So it's a beautiful opportunity for people to do that. I strongly would recommend Wealth Masters because I think it just affords an amazing opportunity for like-minded people to come together, to gain a much better understanding of what's going on in the world, and to develop their own passions and skills in ways that will enable them to fulfill their dreams.